One is JDF. Listen, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I just pushed record, so I'm going to speak from the heart. I think today we're going to talk about being yourself and being you. And the hardest thing to do is to be transparent. I think, for me at least, I was always stuck in this world way back in the days, growing up as a kid, of not saying no or being the yes man. But you know what transparency is all about? Is getting down to the bottom of the problem. If you have an issue with someone, honestly, the best thing to do is just go and talk to that person, confront that person, not confrontation. There's a difference. Just confront, be transparent, and ask them, hey, instead of all the gossiping and all of this and all of that, is there an issue that we're having, or is there a problem? And then you can work it out. So sometimes I think people aren't transparent. And I know we all have to wear a mask in life. I know that. I get it, because you can't say how's your day going? You're going to be like, my day's crap. How's your day? I get it. We all have a mask. But at least being transparent and being a man of your word. Those two things, I think, will make you the toughest, biggest, baddest man or woman on the planet. Is because, number one, you can't buy trust. You can't buy your word. If you break it, it's broken. No one's going to believe in you. No one's going to trust you. So that has to be built from the beginning. If you say something, you got to do it. Just don't say it because it's getting you out of a situation. If you say it, then do it. That's your word, right? It's gold. It's priceless. You can't pay for that back. Also, it's not for sale, right? So being a man of your word, and then also just being transparent. Sometimes you got to say no. Don't just be the yes man. I used to be out there and say, I'll do this. Yes, I can do this. Yes, I can do this. Yes, I can do that. The only problem is I said yes, and I'm not going to let people down. So that's where my issue was back then. So I learned just now to be you, but also be transparent, be a man or a woman of your word. If you say something, then do it. And if you don't, then you need to own up. You need to step up and be responsible. There's no one better that I respect than someone stepping up and saying, you know what? I own that. That was my mistake. I apologize for that. What can I do to make it better? Sometimes we got to own up to our mistakes, and there's a lot of people that don't do it. So that's what I think we're talking about, is being a man of your word, being transparent, and just own up on your own BS. You know what I mean? All right. That's all that's on my heart. Have a good day.
Not much advice I'd want to give you, because it's the pain that drives your success. It's the stumbles that make you get back up. These lessons can't be taught. It's the experience one has to learn. Sometimes people say life isn't fair, but it's all how you look at it. There are lessons I could teach you, but you're the only one that must make the choices. Sometimes we'll lose the battle, but you must win the war. Wounds hurt, but now they're battle scars. I had to let you fall because God picked you back up. Life isn't a race, it's a marathon. Your longevity will tell your legacy. Good job, Jay.
Fall. It's been a while since I wrote. I'm sure at times everyone has moped. But this ain't me. I don't want to go back to where I was. All I could do is pray and hope. Shake it off, but when I do, my mind says, nope. How do I deal with this? How do I even cope? I don't want to slide, but it is a slippery slope. I'm struggling, I'm grabbing, I slip because I missed the rope. My emotions are overflowing like a waterfall. The words I speak are positive. Well, at least I think they are. Overall, with stress occurring regularly, it's too fast. It's a hand sign. Emotions are throwing like a curveball, but how can you even breathe when the air feels like ethanol? I want to fight back my mind. I want to brawl, but when I punch, I'm on the ground. I see the takedown. I begin to sprawl, but I miss. All I can do is crawl. Then I disappear. I'm gone. And it's just me staring at the ceiling wall. People can see my pain. You can see it in my eyeball. The sun would shine, but the darkness moves in, becomes a rainfall. I'm all over the place. like a human pinball. So I delay and I begin to stall. Please, God, take my hand before I fall.
Alright, so you're going to become a shank. Ready?
I like the way it looks on Francis. I just look really good in it.
Do you still remember the name of this?
Yes.
Utra.
That's why.
That's amazing, man. You look great.
Just wanted to wish you happy Mother's Day. I told Francis to send this to you. So happy Mother's Day. Sorry about the reaction, the allergic reaction. So take care of yourself, all right? And you did a wonderful job on raising your children. Bye.
Francis!
Here she goes. I'm gonna send her this video.
Love you! Hope to see you soon! Bye!
Say bye to her. On the video, bonehead.
Oh, bye!
All right, let's get this thing going. How's everybody doing? It's Sunday. I typically don't stream on Sunday, but I think this is a special occasion because I was able to secure an interview with JDF's personal assistant, Francis, for over a decade. That's right. She was with him. Let's see the proof. Y'all like, hey, you got proof? Yes, there is the proof. It's a long interview, but we talked about everything. You have to realize who Francis is, right? She wasn't just anybody. She was his personal assistant, practically glued at the hip from time to time, but he didn't move without going through Francis. So that's what we got coming up. What did she talk about? She has the keys to the kingdom, right? So she talked about everything. You ever saw First 48? And they get the guy cornered and they like, who did it? And you see the picture of the guy pointing on the stand. She was naming names. We talked about his other kids. We talked about Tammie's story. We talked about what happened at the funeral. We are going to get into all of that. So before I continue, I am Henry Resilient, former investigator, did investigations for a company for about 8 years. After 5 years, I got promoted, started teaching people how to investigate things. And I would interview people, compile reports, make calculations, because if they sent me out, it was about money. Either you owed the money, you were dodging paying the money, or you wanted some money back. So they sent me out. I was just a fact finder. I didn't have a gun and badge or anything like that, but it did have jurisdiction. So they had to let me in within 10 minutes or not. It was going to get crazy. Like it was going to be a legal thing. But I have extended anyone who wants to give a private interview, especially like the Frank kids. And, if Speed Racer Tammie wants to give an interview, she can come up too. And you're like, why did I call her Speed Racer Tammie? Because I dug so deep into JDF's life, I found her speeding tickets. So slow down out there. I'm sure they told you that, but she good. She got out of a speeding ticket. But anyway, today is about being transparent. Okay, transparent, and we got our first donation to the channel. Classy Beats, Coach Gang member. He says, here we all go. Like the video. Shout out to Classy. If you need a beat, go to Classy. You should drop your link, your channel in the chat, Classy. And he got like a new podcast type format coming out tomorrow, I believe, on a new channel. So shout out to Classy. And he is the sponsor, along with, I cannot go without saying this person's name. Give me 1 second. Is Marvelous Meg in the chat? Is Marvelous Meg here? Marvelous Meg, let me tell you something about her. She was very generous on last stream and sent me a Cash App. That's right. You could donate via Cash App, $Henry Resilient, but I didn't check it till after stream. So I want to make sure I put some respect on her name and give her just due. So thank you, Marvelous Meg. Thank you, Classy Beats, for donating to the channel. I really appreciate y'all. But let's get back to it. Where was I at? Transparency. It's all about being transparent, okay? And I would say Frances gave a very transparent interview. And we're going to get to it. But today is also about family, okay? Family. Because the family, when you grow up, can dictate the direction of your life. And I've told y'all about my mom. Y'all know about my mom. Shout out to my mom. She'll be here sometime this week to see her granddaughter. But the impact she had on my life changed the trajectory, if I can get that word out. But anywho, when it comes to moms are important. But moms become more important when you go through a divorce, right? So Skye posted this picture. Shout out to Skye. You know, we don't wish no harm. We want all the kids to do well, everybody. But she posted this picture. And that is her mother, JDF, and her brothers. And a message that says, you know, love you, daddy, which is pretty sweet and sincere. And you know, on a song, she called JDF deadbeat, right? Deadbeat dad, which is fine. That's perfectly understandable. Daddy wasn't there. It happens. But no one asks why daddy wasn't there. And what did daddy do to contribute in his absence? Because I told y'all he paid child support and he paid alimony. So he was paying for not being there. Does that still make him a deadbeat dad in the eyes of the law? No, because that was what he was doing what he was legally obligated to. But what you don't hear is why he wasn't there. You don't hear that maybe he had some challenges being there because of the mother, right? Mother, look, my mom was not the best. We know she was beaming up to Scotty. Shout out to my mom. No slight to her. She beat the Grim Reaper, but she was not the best mom per se, especially as she battled with her addiction. And during her, time with addiction, she received child support. She received a decent amount of child support, per se, from my dad, who I don't know. And my dad is kind of like JDF, right? He's like JDF in a way that he had a family. He left that family. My mom was difficult, and he started a new family. So me and Skye have probably more in common than you think. We both got dads. Her dad was probably more active in her life than my dad was in my life. But that's neither here nor there, because the focus is the mother. The mother today. We talking about Shauna, his first wife. All right. So what did Skye say about her mother? Let's go to this. This is her SoundCloud, right? SoundCloud is very telling. Look, you want to be a rapper, that's cool, but you have to tell a story, right? You got to tell a story. You got to tell your story. And it's off on the side here, right? What did she say? LA native, Royal Skye's artistic journey has been an easy one. Hasn't been an easy one. Has not been an easy one. She began writing music at the age of 8 as an outlet for her pain and hurt in her life. The daughter of famed Power Ranger Jason David Frank and Shauna Frank, whom divorced when Skye was just a baby. Royal Skye is no stranger to misfortune. She learned to fend for herself at a young age when she was abandoned by her father and left solely in the care of her mother, who fell deep into the grips of addiction and left her vulnerable to abuse. Okay, that is a very loaded statement. Abandoned by her father and left with her mother. On the surface, it's bad. Hey, he just left us. And this is common. This is common when divorces happen and families are split. You say, hey, daddy left us. But what if she wasn't abandoned? What if mom just went for full custody for more child support? What if that happened? No one thinks about that. What if when dad went to go see you, mom made it difficult? What if when dad went to go pick you up, mom called the police to try to get dad arrested? No one talks about that. So anyway, just to bring it on back. JDF's story never gets out there, and he's not here to defend himself. And, I don't think he probably would admit to some of these things. That maybe it wasn't the easiest seeing his kids. Think about that. Let's keep going. Where we left out. Blah, 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 blah. Living out a car with no parents to care for her. She was thrown into foster care system where the pain and abuse only escalated. Fearing for her safety, Skye ran from the foster care into the streets, a choice that proved to solidify her grit and strength, contributing to her signature style. Through all the pain and adversity, one thing remained constant: her love and passion for music. As her pain grew, so did her determination and development as an artist. Royal Skye's unique sound. This is just fluff, is what I call it. But anyway, if you want to support her, go to her SoundCloud. She got 229 followers, and she said she's going to drop some new music. So it's probably going to be on there. So go support, the family, because we support everyone. But when I noticed she was dropping new music, remember I told you about this sibling rivalry that exists before we get into this interview? That Jenna was dropping new music. I saw that, and then later I saw her dropping new music. And this is why I tell you, do not put stuff like this on the internet, right? Because people like me gonna find it and I'm like, well, was he a deadbeat, or was mom, going through some things that made dad difficult to see you? And I know he was paying a ton of child support because it was in California. So now you have to beg the question, why are you in foster care? Why are you living in a car when dad was paying a generous amount of child support and alimony? That's what I want to know. Maybe, she said she's going to do an interview, but we gonna come back to that, right? Because I got questions for Skye, and I offered her an interview, and she'd rather just go live and do what she do. But I want to bring it back to this, what Hunter said, okay? Skye is not a nice person, and she is going to get unalived someday for being such a nice person, and I hope she does. Let me take that off the screen because just wanted to drop that for context, right? So the one question I would ask Skye is, why in 2011 did your brother Hunter, who you were upset that he was not invited to the funeral, wish for you to be unalived? That's a very, I don't know if people see that. Like, if I wish for my sister, who I love, I might have to end the stream early. She is pregnant and she is due at any moment with my nephew. So if I have to leave early, it's because of that. I'm like the standby person for my niece. So she goes to the hospital. I got to go pick up my niece. It's a big ordeal. Hopefully I don't get that phone call. My phone's right here. But if I wanted something bad to happen to my sister, what would trigger that? I would want to know. I mean, she said she's going to do an interview. Let's see if we have the pictures. Because you know me, we got it all. We got it all. Here's the music. Hey, should I drop some new music? I think you should. This is the time you got the most eyeballs on you. You should drop some music. But here we go. My interview will be dropping tomorrow to give fans some type of clarification. Question: why tomorrow? Why not yesterday? We saw that she declared war against Tammie and her sister Jenna, which I don't support. I hate all this infighting. And look, even JDF said it. He said, "Hey, what's going on? Let's not do the infighting. Let's, work it out." All right, we got a donation. And I appreciate people who support the channel. Henry, wondering if it's possible to get a toxicology report to see if there was any type of substance like antidepressant drugs, alcohol before deletion, because that night they did say they went out. Now, Amanda Indigo, thank you for your contribution. That is an excellent question. And speaking, I showed someone how to get the report. I'm not going to say their name, but it rhymes with pie. And maybe they got it, maybe they didn't. But what I will say is Francis will address that live in the interview. Because if you remember, right, Amanda, we're gonna come back to the Skye interview. But I gotta show love to the people who support the channel. Because I showed you guys in a stream where he said this.
Depression is all-time high right now, and no one understands that. I've been doing poetry. Yeah, poetry. It's a hard thing to you know, come clean and honest with yourself. You know, I haven't drank in 10 years. People that know me back in the days, crazy, fearless Frank, you know, things have changed, my friend. Things have changed. So you just got to face your stuff, man.
All right. So that's what I showed you guys, that he hasn't drunk in 10 years. So for him to go out drinking, that's a little odd. That was a question I got for, you know, Tammie. Maybe I'll get a Tammie interview, guys. If y'all want a Tammie interview, put a T in the chat if you want a Tammie interview. Maybe she'll bless me. Maybe she's watching. But shout out to you, Amanda Indigo, for the $10 donation. You are today's sponsor. Thank you, Marvelous Meg and Classy Beats. But I got to put some respect on Amanda Indigo's name. And we're going to get back to this, the Skye interview, right? Because I don't know who she's doing it with. Maybe she's just going to go live. But, you know, I think we should all come up with some questions for her, right? Because I'm sure we all have questions, right? You want to know things. You want to know things. I want to know things. So what questions would I ask Skye, right? And this is surface level. This is, you know, this is surface level. And after, okay, I see we got some T's in the chat. I see we got some T's. I see we got some T. Oh, someone said not at all. No one wants to hear from Tammie. That's wild. But I see mostly T's in the chat. All right. We'll see. Maybe. I have no idea. But some questions to ask Skye for her interview. How is your relationship with your other brother, Jacob? Okay. I want to know, are they close? Are they close? Why did Hunter wish you were unalive? What does justice for your dad look like? Because she wanted justice for her father, right? These are good questions. Hey, what does justice look like? I don't know. What does it look like for her? What does she believe to be true or not? This is where you get a little personal, right? When was the last time you spoke to your father? And you want a date. When was the last time you saw your father in person? You want a date. And how do you feel like you were treated unfairly in your father's passing? And that's a yes or no question, right? You want to kind of do yes or no questions. You could pin people down when you ask yes or no questions. And why? Okay. So now we covered this. Are y'all ready for this interview? All right. I think I touched on everything. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know JDF is no longer here. He was going through a divorce. Let's do a quick little recap before we go any further. Y'all know JDF was going through a divorce. And I showed you some other court cases. He was getting sued by a car rental company. He was going through a custody battle for his grandson, which, you know, I get the impression that he loved. He was battling with finding Shayla. He was battling the anniversary of his mother's passing. We know his brother self-transitioned. All these things wrapped up into one. And then we got Tammie's story that they were reconciling, having a night of fun, and she go to get snacks, and next thing you know, he's gone. And I got questions about that story. And to be fair, right? People say, you know, hey, you team Tammie. And I'm like, look, I'm team truth. Now I cannot never, ever clear Tammie, to be clear. There will always be did she say something? That will always be there. But what I did show is that there was more things going on in his life than just divorce. Probably was the least of his worries. But anywho, let's get into the interview. All right. And I'm going to stop this periodically, but we're going to get into it. And I hope you guys enjoy it. It's pretty long, but we here for it. Let me rewind it. Not yet. All right. And we're live. So first, for starters, who are you?
I am Jason David Frank's personal assistant.
Okay. And are you being paid for this interview?
Of course not.
All right. Why are you choosing to do this interview?
I'm choosing to this interview because I think people are just so focused on the end of Jason's life instead of what he lived for. So I just want to share some light of how my interactions with him and who he was, like with me, firsthand, firsthand experience.
And you were his assistant for how long?
I met him in April 2012. So for 10 years about. Maybe almost 11 years.
And how was the hiring practice? Did you just have a conversation and he just say, hey, I want you to be my assistant?
He just said, hey, we met a few times in the interim. And one day he needed help with something. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll do it. And I did it. And then he was like, hey, you want to be my assistant? I know, like, you're in New York and I'm in Texas. And I was like, sure, as long as it's okay with you. And that's how it was.
Boom. All right. So you see that we have his assistant who was there for 11 years. Okay. Think about this. I have an assistant at my job outside of YouTube. She knows me better than anyone else I work with. Okay. I took my kid to Disney. I got a daughter, right? I took her to Disney on Ice. And as soon as I came to work the next day, she's like, hey, let me see the pictures. She knows about the divorce. She knows about these god doggone cupcake pans. She knows everything. So think about this. JDF has this person working with him and they're close. Okay. Arguably, probably closer than him and his wife. No slight to his wife, but that's just how assistants come. If anyone is in like executive management, you got an assistant, you know how it is, but let's keep going. So that's what you say 2012. So we're talking roughly almost a little over 10 years.
Yes.
Okay. So is it safe to say that you knew him more than most people? I mean, my assistant, she knows me like more than any other people I work with.
I want to say yes. I want to say definitely. We used to talk every day, all day, every day, 24/7. So yeah.
That's a lot. That is a lot. With that being said, you talk to him every day. How was your relationship with his wife when you first started working for him?
When I first started, we really didn't interact, other than like I would hear her in the background of like his voice text or phone calls. Of course, I was cordial, hello, hi, holidays, Merry Christmas, stuff like that. But I didn't really interact with her at first. No.
Okay, all right. So as his assistant, what job duties did you have?
Being his assistant was everything. I would do graphics. I would book hotels. I would book trips. I would book conventions. I would be like the middleman with conventions on how to book his flights, his hotels and stuff like that.
Okay, so you're booking his flights. Now you know why I asked her that, right? I needed to know if she booked the hotels because we all had our suspicions, and I wouldn't be who I was if I didn't ask, some tough questions. She not just about to come up here and have some softball interview. Okay. Can everyone hit the like button? I see we got 150,000 people in here and only 70,000 likes. Can we get the likes up? So she was not getting off with no easy questions. And I'll tell you this, later in the interview, she tries to skirt around the question, right? And my boss, right? I'll show you a picture of my boss because I got one. Look, this is my boss. This is how you would look at me if I brought him a report and he would ask me a question that I didn't answer. This is him. That's my boss. That's how you look at me. But anyway, so we're going to get to her trying to skirt around the question and see how I pull her back in. I'm going to pull her right back in. All right, let's keep it going. Booking his hotels. Were you ever with him at like some of these Comic-Cons?
Oh, I also went to Comic-Cons, yes. I went to Comic-Cons with him or shows, any filming, stuff like that. I would go as well.
What about financial records? Did you oversee any of his financial records or have access to them?
Yes.
Okay.
Any banking, any payments that I needed to make, any bills, any invoices, stuff like that.
His Cash App, would you have access to his Cash App?
And all that.
Okay. You see, this is half interview, but half interrogation, right? You know, I said, hey, did you have access to the Cash App? Because I want to know who the hell he was sending money to, right? I want to know, did he send money to the people? Did he receive money? Like, look, when I tell you I was probably the best in my company, I was probably the best. I'm not lying. All right. This is going to be a little touchy, but there were rumors of infidelity. Did you ever book any rooms for other women that was not his wife or part of his team?
No, never.
Never, not once?
Not once, ever. I would only book him, his family, or myself, or let's say one of the assistants.
Okay, so see, you have to ask that question, right? Because now I've heard the rumors, but I need someone to confirm. We saw the divorce filing that there was adultery. So who would know about the adultery other than his assistant? Now, she said she's never booked other rooms for either just him and her and the team, but I wanted to know if she was in on the act, all right, of booking rooms. How was it when him and his wife traveled? Did they always get separate rooms? I noticed that in the article she's mentioned that.
Yes, so they always usually it would be either separate rooms or like a suite with 2 rooms separated. Like she said, and it's very true. He did snore. He was very, very self-conscious about it. Like even me, like if we were at a show, I couldn't book the room next to him directly.
Really?
I would always ask for some farther away, because one time we were stuck in the room next to each other and he didn't sleep all night because he thought that I was going to hear him.
How loud was he snoring though? Like, was it like that, or was it louder?
It was louder.
And he never got help for like sleep apnea or anything like that?
I don't recall. I don't think so. It was just something that he was self-conscious about. I mean, everyone snores, you know what I mean? I snore, but it's just, I used to snore, but like everyone snores at different rates. It depends how tired. Remember, we would be at shows 10, 12 hours a day.
Right.
Eating without like even very minimal bathroom breaks. So like when you fell on that bed, you fell on that bed. So it was like, I remember that night he was like, I couldn't sleep. So the next morning I went downstairs. I was like, can I have another room? Like, and even like if I were to come first than him, I would make sure that we weren't next to each other. Or if he would come first than me, because remember we're coming from different areas, he would be like, make sure that she's not directly next
wow, that is wild that he's snoring like that. But let's go back to
unfortunately, it was something he was just not comfortable with. And I understood. I mean, I wouldn't want to be woken up by somebody snoring.
Well, you know, hey, I get it. I can understand that a little bit. I want to go back to the money part. You said you had access to his money. Did he ever send money to women that were not part of his team?
No.
Okay.
Not from where
you had access, or
access that I have
now. Okay. Now this is, what about he has 3 kids from a previous marriage. Correct. While you were with him, his assistant, and I believe they're all adults now, did he ever send money or have you send money to any of his kids?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what I wanted to show, why I asked that question, is to see if he sent money to his adult children, right? Because the deadbeat, now look, it's no slight to his kids that they get money from dad, but I just wanted to know if, hey, did he indeed just leave him out to dry when he was an adult or not? So we'll keep going. How y'all feel about the interview so far? I mean, we like 6 minutes in, we got a lot of time to go. Can y'all like the stream? I see we got 190,000 people in here and only 8,000 likes. Right. So you know about his kids. How would you describe his relationship with his other kids from your perspective, from your observations?
So it's a touchy subject, of course. But when I first met Jason and he started opening up to me, and there was no relationship. It was a very hostile relationship with his children. I remember we used to talk a lot about it. I used to tell him, like, why don't you try, try to mend things or try to make things better. I'm not someone to judge. So I would tell him, like, why don't you try? And he would, and he definitely would try to reach out to his kids and at least be there some way, since he wasn't there physically.
Okay, so if you said you witnessed him send them money financially.
And buy things, of course.
He seemed like a very generous guy.
Very.
I've seen him give out $100 bills to homeless people, make large donations. All right, so we know he gave money to his kids. That's what we're establishing here. The whole deadbeat. This is his assistant, so I don't suspect her to be dishonest or anything, but at the same time, she got it. I asked about the observations because I don't deal with feelings. Like, do you feel? I hate feelings. I don't deal with feelings. What did you observe? What did you observe with the kids? She said no relationship. So remember your timeline. She started working for him in 2012. So keep that in mind. So 2012, no relationship. All right, let's keep going. To churches randomly during like just his live streams or his videos that he would post on his Instagram channel. Was he ever generous to you?
Very. I'm sorry.
Take
your time. He was very generous. I can tell you, I've worked hard all my life. 14, I started working, so I've worked nonstop. And I can tell you a story. I'm not ashamed of it.
Sure, we got time. We got time.
I've been working really hard everyone wants to make their mother or their parent good, right? So I was saving up to buy a house. And because he knew where I live was not a safe environment. Right?
Okay.
He constantly, like we were talking, I would have to like run out of the apartment and fight with the people upstairs or something like that. So he's like, you gotta get out of there. And I was like, I'm working on it. I put in an offer. The offer for my house was higher than what I had. So, I told him, he was there when I got the phone call and he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get this house because it's $15,000 more than what I have. And instantly, without even thinking, he was like, I'll give it to you. I'll lend it to you. And I was like, no. Like, I don't want that. Like, that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
It's a lot.
Did you see that? His assistant is getting $15,000 from her boss to purchase a house for her family. That's very generous. That's very generous. And I know this is kind of off topic, but look, I know some people who want to be investigators who reached out to me, right? And I'll give y'all a little bit of free game. When you're doing an interview with somebody, you don't go in hot and heavy. You go in soft. You ask them some softball questions. You get them to feel comfortable. And then you start easing into some of the hardball questions. Like early on, I asked a couple ones. All right. And, you have to remove your own bias from the interview. Like, let's just say you feel that foul play is at foot, right? And they say, no foul play is afoot. You don't go in and say, well, I feel like this. Okay. Because then it just kills the interview. Okay. So even if you feel that way, there's certain ways you could kind of push that thought in there. Now, can we like the stream? I see we got 194,000, but that's just how you do your interviews. You just come in soft. Hey, you just want to let them tell their story. You don't interrupt. So you probably not going to see me talking much. And I'm going to just kind of interject like this just to explain it. Because when they're rolling, you just want to let them talk. See if they say something. And if they say something, you have to react pretty fast and jump on it. All right. Let's go.
A lot of money. I'm like, no. I don't want, I'm a person, I don't like to mix, business and like stuff like that. He's like, don't worry, I'll lend it to you. I have it, don't worry. And I remember he lent it to me, and I think I went to pay him $1,000 because I was going to pay him $1,000 a month because remember I also have to pay a mortgage.
Right.
I was going to pay him $1,000 a month until I paid it off. And when I went to pay him the first thing, he's like, I don't want your money. Take it.
Wow.
And I was like, what? No way. Like, that's who he was. He didn't care. He wanted me to be safe. And that means a lot, because not all bosses, friends really care. So he's like, no, you need to get out where you're at. Like, I've seen you mad. I've seen what you've dealt with. Don't give me any.
Hey, don't even pay me back. Yeah. Wow. And what year was this?
This was in 2016.
So 2016, this is 4 years into you working for him. It's kind of like a $15,000 bonus, if you will.
Yeah.
All right. You see that? You have to establish the timeline. Hey, when did he give you this money? Was it 2 years ago? Was it when you first started working? So they built the rapport. 4 years in, 2016, he gives her $15,000. And in my perspective, I'm like, oh, that's a bonus. But you continue to work for him after that. So even after he wiped your debt clean, you continue to work for him.
Yes. And
that's admirable, because most people we'll peace out. You know, I had an employer who paid for me to get my master's degree. Shortly after I met the requisite to leave, I was gone.
I can tell you in 11 years, he was very generous to me, and never did I expect or ask. You know, I would never. I told him, like, I don't want nothing. I just want, you know, I already have enough. Imagine traveling the world with him, meeting so many people, and it was just a blessing already. But he would always show up. Like, one time, I never had like a luxury purse. You know what I mean? I'm not like that. And he went, and I got a mail, and I was like, what is this? And I'm like, what's weird? And because I usually didn't buy anything, and he had bought me like a Gucci wallet.
Oh,
to have that, just so that you walk around with it. And throughout the course of the years, he was very, very appreciative.
Gucci. Now, you know, JDF liked his Louis Vuitton, his Gucci, his high-end fashion. So this kind of gives a little bit to, you know, his credibility, how he cared for the people who worked for him. He can't be walking around with Gucci and she got on, like, you know, I don't want to say any brand name, but a brand that's not equal to or greater than Gucci. You know what? I'll say this. JDF did like his high-end fashion.
Definitely. Louis Vuitton, it was everything. And he's like, you have to have it. I'm like, no, I'm not. That's not me. Like, I don't really walk around with anything like that. But he was like, well, you're with me. You need it. And I was like,
well, you know, you are a representation of him. So if he's wearing Gucci, you can't be wearing, I'm not going to say like Coach. You know, if he's wearing Gucci and Louis, you can't be wearing Coach. So I get that. Hey, look, no disrespect to Coach. You know, if you got a Coach purse, it's still better than not having a Coach purse. Shout out to all the women who got Coach purses. Now, JDF was going through a divorce, and he was served at Comic-Con. Were you there to witness him being served? You see, this is how you ease into it, right? So now we did the backstory. We did the background. We established who she is. We established that she worked for him. We established his generosity. Now we got to start getting into the good stuff, okay? We got to start getting into the good stuff. Hey, Budgie, don't be posting no links, please.
I wasn't there when he was served, but he called me when it happened, right after. It was it really shook him up because he is so into his fans. And imagine when you're meeting people, you have to be on. You have to be positive. You can't even put a frown. You know what I mean? Like, I remember at first, I'm very shy. He taught me how to project and be sociable and be, you know, trying to, like, even if I had a bad day, I had to kind of hide it, you know, from everyone, because I was the first person they saw before they met him. So, you know, he told me, he's like, can you believe it? There's this girl, she was in line. So basically, the girl stood in line, or the person stood in line. Let me not blast her, but the person stood in line, got an autograph, got a free picture from him, then started crying. And he's like, Francis, I didn't even know what to do. I mean, because she just, you know, we had a good interaction. It wasn't like she came up crying, you know what I mean? Because some are very emotional when they come in, and he, you know, he appreciates everything. But the girl started crying, and he's like, I didn't know what to say or do. And then supposedly the girl yelled out, "You've been served."
Like yelled it?
Yeah, like yelled it. "You've been served," and gave him the paperwork. And what was even worse was that someone was recording it.
Oh.
Whoever was with the person was recording it. So he was very shaken up, and I was like, "Listen, you got to keep going." And he was good. He was so good at hiding emotions. Like his mother was passing away, and we were at a con. So literally, when he got the call, like it's time, like we were at a show, and it was.
Did he leave the show or did he stay at the show when he got the? All right. They're about to talk about the mother passing. But what I want to do is go back to him being served. I look when we got the I can't hear good. All right, sorry, I probably wasn't close to the mic. But what I'm saying is when he got served, it was a fan, not just some regular process server, which makes it worse. Not to mention, it sounds like they may have known this person and someone recorded it, right? So I want to know, where is the recording? Not saying it didn't happen, but I think the recording serves as proof that he got served. And when I pulled the court documents, there was no mention of a recording, but I'm sure it exists somewhere because serving him is major at con. And like I told you, he had to still keep working. And I don't know who this Surreal Cuts is, but this guy must know Francis. He been like Team Francis since he walked in. Like, who is he? You want to speak out? But anyway, we're gonna get to it. We about to talk about the passing of his mother. All right. If you didn't like the stream, please like the stream. This interview was taken yesterday. I've been on JDF stuff all weekend, and people have been sending me stuff. If you send me something on Instagram and then you unsend it, you wasting time because the moment you send it to me, it's already backed up. Trust me, it's already backed up. And the reason I do that is because people will send me stuff, send me information, take it back, hoping that I would say that, hey, they told me this. And then they'll say, no, you didn't. And I'll be like, well, here's the proof. But anyway, let's get back to the interview. Let's hear about JDF and how he treated his fans and how the passing of his mother weighed on him and what he was doing, right? No one has this on YouTube. I promise you. Not even TMZ. And TMZ broke the story, sadly, but we're going to get to it, guys. All right, let's go. Let's get back to it.
It was almost at the end already, so we stayed to the end. But imagine getting that call. Like I can tell you that I looked up to him because he really was able to shut it off, finish, and go.
So he can separate himself from, kind of like from reality versus con.
Yeah, because he wanted everyone, and this is what I feel people might not understand. He wanted everyone, from the first person to the last person, to have a good experience. Now, mind you, he wasn't perfect because there's no one that's perfect. But he really wanted everyone to enjoy themselves. Even if he got that news, he had to continue to make sure everyone was fine. He really cared about how his fans left,
wow.
An event.
I couldn't imagine getting a phone call that, a loved one is passing away and I'm at work and I'm like, well, let me finish work and then go see my mom.
Exactly. I mean, and it's not even that. Like, imagine he was scheduled to go back home. So it was while we're taking care of fans, I'm also in the background booking him a flight to where she was at. And it's like the stress and it was, to me, the most amazing thing that he did. He was able to always separate his emotions and what he was going through and give people a positive, experience.
So would you say he was wearing a mask per se? Okay. Let's stay on that. Let's stay right there because this question is a little bit later. So how did JDF feel about finding Shayla passed away, and how did that impact him? Because I didn't look at the tour dates to see where did he go to con after, but you said he was dedicated to con. So how did him finding Shayla impact him from your observations?
From my observation, when he found Shayla, he called me first. And I'm hearing him crying. I'm like, what's going on? Like, why? I, I'm very sensitive, so it's hard for me to hear someone cry because I will start crying. Like it's just automatic waterworks. And I remember he was crying, and I'm like, what's going on? I couldn't really understand what he was saying, and he told me he found her passed, unfortunately, and that the baby was alone. Like it's just a think about the most horrifying thing that you can think of. You finding someone that you raised as your daughter passed away. And for a while. So he was distraught. I tried to calm him down, and it really affected him. Really affected him. He just it was something unexpected, something that I don't think anyone should go through. It did hurt him a lot. I think a lot of issues happened right after her passing. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I saw the Drayden. How did he feel about Drayden? Like, what do you know about that relationship between Drayden and him? And I think this happened. The marriage was supposedly having issues at that time. And
well, think if you, like I said, we use text 24/7. So if he was at a trip with Drayden, I know they tried to definitely go in a lot of family trips together and with the baby.
Okay.
It was actually so weird. Like I remember we had this conversation, and he was like, "I can't believe we're raising babies together because my son is 6 months younger than Drayden."
Oh, congratulations.
Drayden was 6 months. I was pregnant.
Okay.
So he was like, "I can't believe we're gonna raise babies together." When my child was born, we would send pictures of each other's kids. Of Drayden, he would send me pictures of Drayden. I would send him pictures of my son, and he loved him. We would talk about like he would tell me like put baby first. Like I think it's like a channel for your son, and we would like I would talk to him about formulas, and I think there was a shortage, and we were just trying to bounce back with each other. He was sending me pictures and videos. He really loved Drayden, really loves him, and you can tell when someone is investing their emotions on someone, and it was constant. If I scroll through my phone, you'll just see photos of him and Drayden, videos of him and Drayden. Funny story. I think it's funny, but
Sure.
I wouldn't, being a mom is hard, especially a newborn mom. And I kind of stopped sending him pictures of my son. But I still constantly send pictures of Drayden and stuff like that. And he's like, one day, morning, I'm talking about early morning, I had just woken up. I was probably still in bed. And he's like, "Can I ask you something?" And I'm thinking it's like a work thing. He would literally text me throughout the night about work. And I'm like, "Oh, sure, what's up?" And he's like, "Did you kill your kid?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Did you kill your kid?"
All right, guys, I see a lot of chats going on. Please be respectful. And yes, she was at the funeral. We are going to get to it, I promise you, but I have to let her tell her story beginning to end. So we're going to get back into it.
Like, no, what are you talking about? He's like, "Because you don't send me pictures. And you need to send me pictures every day. I need to know that you're taking care of this kid and he's healthy and thing." So like that was our little thing. Every morning I would send him a picture of my son or something that we were doing, or if he learned something new. So we would share pictures of the kids together.
Oh, that's touching.
Yeah.
That's touching. And I saw like
his son's name. He didn't know how to say my son's name. My son's name is Axial. Axial. And he would be like, Axial. Axial. He's like, "You know what? I'm just gonna call him Big A. From now on, it's gonna be like a house Big A." So like,
okay. And so with Drayden, I saw he had like a court hearing. Did he tell you about the custody case or anything like that? Did he attend the court hearing?
He did attend the court hearing. He told me after the court hearing.
Okay.
Because from my understanding, the surviving parent of Drayden wanted Drayden to stay with Tammie and Jason. So I didn't.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all catch that? The surviving parent, remember the guy who trolled me, wanted Drayton to stay with them. This is his assistant. Do you think he would lie to his assistant? And he was at the court hearing. I'm just saying. So sorry about the sound. She's doing it from a webcam. I got like a whole studio here. So I got the mic, I got the mixer. We're going to get through it though. It's a phenomenal interview. It's just like you have to warm up your person.
No, until the court hearing that was different.
People change their mind, you know. And I wanted to show you guys uncut. So I don't want people to say, you cut something out. Nope. It's beginning to end. No cuts, no jumps. It's just boom.
In my opinion, to my understanding, they were taking care of Drayden permanently.
Okay.
So when he told me about the court hearing, it was shocking, to be honest. But he did attend. He definitely wanted Drayden. I know he wanted Drayden to learn karate. He wanted Drayden to experience good things and go to good schools and so that's so he was very invested in Drayden.
So mid-divorce, he still supported taking care of Drayden.
Yes.
His wife taking care of Drayden, or him taking care of Drayden,
Correct.
Or the adoption of Drayden. Is that a fair statement? Okay. So let's talk about depression, because you said he wore some masks. And could you tell when he was having a depressed moment, and like what you would say to him or what he would do to try to kind of get over it?
So usually, yes.
Okay.
Remember, we were together a lot, so I would know. I could even hear it in his voice if he was down. He was definitely, if you were outside looking in, you would never notice. So when he had these bouts of depression, it was hard for him. Sometimes he would need a break. Remember, 10-12-hour days, signing and signing up. You didn't have a chance to like breathe. And there were times that he was going through so much. Whenever he had those bouts, we would pray, to be honest. He told me, like, he would always tell me, I believe in your prayers work, please pray for me. So whenever I felt he was not himself or down, I would always make sure I was there, if I was there, because remember, I'm in New York. But whenever we were at shows, and I would stay with him the whole time, and we would talk and let him vent. Sometimes you just need to be an ear. I wouldn't say anything. I would just hear him vent, and then, we would pray together. I would tell him, listen, you're an OG, you're a gangster. You gotta keep it up.
He has to, you have to keep the show going on. You have to be the uplifting, positive guy that everyone is counting on you to be.
Exactly. And I remember I told him, my father passed away a long time ago. So I told him, you have to, you're the strongest, most amazing man I know. You got to keep going. You can't give up. He was, he put everyone first. Let's say that.
Okay.
When he was depressed and sad and wanted to give up, he always thought of everyone else but him.
Okay. All right. I mean, I can actually kind of see that just from the way he treated his fans like family.
Yeah.
But that could weigh heavy on you. You always have to be upbeat. You always have to be the life of the party. And what happens when you go to work and you don't feel like being upbeat, or you don't feel like being the life of the party? I don't think he had that option.
No, he didn't. And I think that was the biggest burden. I can go and be upset and no one's going to tell me anything because I'm just his assistant, you know what I mean? But him, like, there was a time that we couldn't even go out to eat to, like, just decompress. because someone would show up, or we would be mid conversation deep. We both had issues. I had issues myself, personal issues, and we would go out to eat to at least talk about it, and people would interrupt, or
People would what? Fans would interrupt you while eating.
yeah, and it's not. He appreciated that.
Uh-huh.
That's the crazy part. Like, you could tell in my face, I would just be like, my face would drop, because it's like he gave already so much, and then we're eating, like, literally about to put food in our mouth. Like, can we have a picture? Can you? And it's kind of like he wouldn't be able to say no.
Uh,
I could tell you, like, we would be at airports, and people would somehow be past security and have like hundreds of things for him to sign.
Jesus.
And it would be like I was like, don't sign it. I would go in. I'm like, no. I'm like, I would tell people, no, like we're on a flight, we're on our way, and he would stop and still sign them, even if I said no. Like, he would be like, I got it.
Yo, sorry to interrupt this interview, but they're saying there's a video that shows the police report out here on YouTube. Can someone look into that and email me? I'm reading my emails now and I have access, but if that's true, please send that to me.
No, it's fine. And it would be like so bad, because I know that he would look at me like, I know we're late, and I know you're like, but he would still do it. And if he didn't do it, that's the pressure. If he didn't do it, I remember one time we were running late. We were literally running to our gate.
Uh-huh.
We were the last people on the plane, and he had to say no to someone. And instantly, an hour later, it was all over online that he was rude to a fan.
Oh, his image was everything.
Yeah, it was everything to him, because he worked so hard and he loved his fans so much, and that's something that I understand why everyone's so outraged. But
fake news, y'all. I just checked YouTube. There's no police report. You can email me if you have the link, but I just checked.
He really wanted everyone to be happy, even at his own cost.
Okay, so speaking of his image, after the divorce was leaked to kind of like TMZ, how did that impact him at cons? Did people come up to him asking about the divorce, or did he get less con bookings? All right. Thank you, Justin420. What does he say? JDF was my childhood hero. I forgot till too late. Oh, yeah. He was a lot of people's childhood heroes. And in fact, I did an interview today on the actual King Smith channel, and he brought up JDF, and he was both of our favorite Power Rangers. Thank you, Justin, for the $2 donation. I appreciate you. But so now we're talking about the impact of the divorce on his Comic-Con bookings, because remember, image is everything. He's a public figure, okay? We saw the divorce file, and we saw the TMZ story. Adultery, fraud. Those are some serious allegations. So I wanted to know, hey, did it slow down his work? Okay. All right, back to it.
I wasn't really at a lot of the shows. I was in but I don't think anyone talked to him about the divorce.
Okay.
But people would be like, imagine you're here, like you're signing autographs, and someone's like, you look sad, or you look tired. He hated when people told him, you look tired, because really he was getting energy and strength from like deep within, and that's the worst thing you can tell someone. You look tired. Hey, Henry, you look tired. Like, you wouldn't like that.
I probably wouldn't, but yeah, I can see how I could bring someone down a little bit.
It would make him feel like, God, I'm here. I'm going through all this stuff. A lot of stuff, not only the divorce. Let's only focus on the divorce. He was going through a lot. And that someone, instead of saying, thank you for being here, which is what should be said, you look tired, Jason, or you look worn out, or you're down. You know what I mean? It was really heartbreaking for him, really hard.
So speaking
of cons, it was nonstop. He also was a person of his word. If he said he was going to be somewhere, he was going to be somewhere. It's like a huge, like something terrible must have happened.
Yeah, I looked through his con appearance list, and there was only I think I only saw one con cancellation.
Yeah, and that was something.
So speaking of his word and con and going through divorce, you were there to witness, or you wasn't there to witness him being served, but you know how it impacted him. And there was rumors of reconciliation, or I wouldn't say rumors. She said they were reconciling. Did you see any signs or make any observations that could have possibly be true or not true? See, this is a hardball question, guys. This is not an easy one, and I kind of like weaved it in there. How we were talking about one thing, and I just said, boom, hey, did they reconcile? Because right now she's comfortable talking. Okay, she's comfortable. We've been talking a while. We've established a rapport. She's comfortable. This is when you start going in and getting down to some brass tacks and start. Now, look, you don't go for the gusto because I know what question y'all want me to ask. You don't come right out with that. You got to ease her into it. Okay, you got to ease her into it, and that's all I'm doing. I'm easing her into it, making her feel comfortable, letting her guard down. Let's go.
Should be, again, I've been in his life for almost 11 years. Every couple has issues, right?
Sure.
Issues. Friendships have issues. Our friendship wasn't always, hey, great. We had our issues as well. So, of course, they had issues. It's normal. And what marriage wouldn't have issues. But when he told me about the divorce, I was shocked. I really didn't think they would ever go through it. And even after he was served, and I know that they were going back and forth in court, I didn't believe they were divorced. At first, he would talk to me.
This is his assistant of 10 years saying she doesn't think that they would get divorced. I don't want these little small details to go over y'all head, okay? Think about this. 10 years working for him, divorce gets filed. She's like, I don't think it's going to happen.
July, August, he would talk to me about the issues and stuff like that. But then around maybe mid-September and September-ish, around there, he went quiet. He wouldn't talk to me about it.
Now, did you hear what she said? He was talking about divorce, and then he stopped. Now, y'all know me. I bring up divorce every stream. You know I'm getting divorced. I keep the pans right here as a reminder of me getting divorced, okay? And let's go back to our timeline, right? We know he's going through divorce. Let's pull up the timeline. Where are we at? October. Reconciliation begins. Let's share this. Let's make it bigger. And we know a couple things because I shared it with you guys. Hold on, I'll make it bigger. Oh. All right. So we know he was served at home. Oh, gosh. Give me a second. There we go. 10/26. Served at home. Right there. Right before he left. And when was it? He had the hearing for Drayton. And 11/16. Served at home. So that's just something I want you guys to factor in. She believes they're reconciling. I like proof. Hey, he wasn't living at the house. All right, now he's getting served at the house. Just because he's served at the house doesn't necessarily mean he's living at the house, but he was served at the house. That's all I could glean from it, unless like Tammie come out and say he was living at the house. But anyway.
Or mention anything to me about it.
So he's talking to you about divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden he stops.
Correct.
You know, because when I'm going through a divorce, I tell everybody, if you watch my streams, it comes up every time because this is real. So he's talking to you about divorce, and then all of a sudden he stops.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, where was he like living during this time? Was he staying at the house? Was he in a hotel? I mean, you book his stuff. All right, we got the actual King Smith with a $9.99 donation. And shout out to him. I was actually talking to him about JDF. And if y'all want, can y'all drop actual King Smith channel in the chat? If you want to check out our live stream, it's just me and him talking about marriage, divorce, and some other stuff. But we'll get back to it. Thank you to actual King Smith for the donation. Appreciate you.
So to be honest, once he stopped talking about it, I immediately thought they were reconciling without him telling me anything.
Okay.
Jason would vent. So when he was upset, he would vent. to myself or his other assistant or his friends, he would vent. So like when the venting stopped, I was like, something's going on, but I would never judge him. I never say anything to him. He did, I did book a few hotels for him. He was not staying at the house at first.
Okay.
Because then there were times that we had conversations at random times in the day, and I would either hear Jenna or Tammie, or he would show me that he was in the house.
Okay.
And this was around September, October.
Dates are important. So now she just kind of confirmed that, hey, he was at the house around September, October to align with the reconciliation. So this is kind of like corroborating the whole 6 weeks ago, or just the mere fact his presence was at the house. Now, if we had surveillance footage, that would be like the kind of like the smoking gun per se. Okay, so September, October. All right. So now we got to get into it. The days leading up to his final night. Did you book the rooms for JDF that day, or did you speak to him at all leading up to that night? Boom. This is the banger. This is the next half is about to be a little heavy because we're getting into the final moments leading up to JDF. I hope y'all see how I'm doing this interview. This, for the people who want to be investigators who reached out to me via email, or the person who I promised I would show them the way, this is kind of how you do it. You got the rapport, you ask a couple hardball questions, and now we got to get to the meat and potatoes, right? This is what everyone is here for. What happened leading up to it? This person knows him more than anyone. How is the interview so far? If y'all like this interview, y'all like my interview style, give me like a 1 in the chat. If you think I'm going too easy on her, put a 2 in the chat. 1 for you like it, 2 for I'm going too easy on her. This is kind of like the test that you do, like when you go to college, they give you the pre-test. Hey, are you, do you understand this? You take the test, and then next thing you know, you fail the test. Look, Surreal Cuts is saying 2, and that's supposed to be her person or whoever this guy is. He team Francis. He said I'm not going hard enough. Now, Alicia S, you got to know something about Alicia S. Alicia is she don't believe nothing that nobody says. She is set in her ways. But I see a bunch of 1s in the chat. Okay. All right. Cool. So since y'all saying some 1s, we gonna keep it going. Let's see. We got another donation. What does Chanzo Tambuzi say? As someone who met JDF multiple times, he made every fan feel special. This is an important stream for me to see because we don't have the freedom to talk about what divorce does to us. Good work, Henry. And yes, we know divorce has a catastrophic impact on men. Like I showed you in a previous stream that just the mere filing of divorce, it increases a man's likelihood to self-transition by 9 times. So thank you, Chanzo Tambuzi, for the donation and letting your voice be heard. I really appreciate you contributing to the content. All right, so it looks like I do like you tough, though, Henry, sometimes. Okay, you like me sometimes, but I know who you don't like. We ain't going to talk about that. All right, Alicia.
I didn't book the rooms. I didn't book the rooms at all. I did speak to him Friday afternoon.
All right. She did not book the rooms, but she spoke to him Friday night. All right. Just want to make sure y'all clear because I know y'all said some people are not hearing it. She did not book the rooms, but she spoke to him Friday night. This is his personal assistant of over a decade giving you her testimony of what happened prior to his demise. Okay.
And he told me, I always texted him, "Are you okay? How are you? Are you okay?" I always make sure that the first thing I did was see if he was fine, right? He told me, "Hey, I'm okay." He was laughing. I'm just going through a lot. I'm just going through things in my head. That's what he told me. but I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call you tomorrow. I know it was my son's birthday. She's like, I'm gonna call the baby to wish him a happy birthday tomorrow. And that was the last thing I heard from him.
And if I recall, that Friday is close to the anniversary of his mom's passing.
Correct. I believe his mom's passing was on Tuesday. What was it? The Tuesday before.
Okay. So remember, I showed you guys the timeline. Tuesday, mother pass. That's the anniversary. Okay. So you have to establish like Tuesday, mother passed, anniversary. And we go through, I showed you the timeline where he got served on like close to his demise. I don't want to go back to, I really want to get through this interview. So let's keep going. Every year when his mom's anniversary of her passing come up, would he feel happy, sad? You know, would he go through the motions?
He would go through emotions. I think he tried to keep busy during those times so that he wouldn't have to think about it. Remember, Jason lost his mother to cancer. It wasn't a pretty thing.
Now, for all my ninja watchers, right? The people who ain't hit the like button, who don't want to put a 1 or a 2 in the chat so their voice could be heard, you can now poll. There's a poll out there. I'll learn how to do it, guys. For the ninja watchers, if you think I'm too easy, you could put that. If you think I'm fair, because you don't want to go too hard on someone you're interviewing. Now you can put that and I won't know you're here. This is for the ninja watchers who'll be watching. It's about like 2,000 of y'all who gonna watch it, but let's keep going. Hit the like button if you knew. Hit the like button, please.
You know, we lost her pretty quickly. And then, you know, to lose your mother, to be at a show and then go to your mother's last breath, basically. It's not, he didn't have a chance to like really say goodbye. His mom wasn't speaking by that time already. He wasn't able to like.
So I imagine she was in hospice.
She was in hospice.
Okay, yeah, I lost someone to cancer, and when you go see them in hospice, it's a very daunting thing. It's literally death almost in every room if they're not doing hospice at home.
And remember, his father was very, very distraught as well. Imagine losing the love of your life, your soulmate, whatever you want to call it. They were together for a long time. You know, it was a lot, really heavy on Jason because he was the only child left. For him.
Wow. So his father has to be going through it. He lost his first son. He lost his other son. He lost his wife. Shout out to JDF's father. You know, hopefully he's doing okay. I couldn't imagine burying the whole family and then continuing to live life.
He couldn't attend the funeral. He couldn't take any more heartbreak, to be honest.
God. Okay. All right. So, all right. If you notice, her voice is cracking. My voice is cracking because I did lose my grandfather and I visited him in hospice. And I'm telling you, it is so crushing. When you visit someone in hospice, it's literally people just, for the most part, they're there just to expire. And some of them, like, this only for people who've been to hospice. They have what they call the transition breathing. It is loud, obnoxious. They're barely there. People go there just to kiss them on the forehead and check out. So it will mess with you for sure. So you didn't book the rooms. You spoke to him that day. Where were you that afternoon? Where were you when you heard the news about JDF? All right, what I did this there, right? That's an interview technique. That's a summary plus a callback, okay? We summarize what happened and we still, we're still going back to, hey, where were you when you got the news? She didn't book the hotel. Where was she at? Let's find out.
So,
take your time. Now, look, when you doing this interview with someone who was so close to JDF, you don't want to rush. Yeah, in fact, I gave her 3 hours. Now, this interview is not 3 hours, but I set aside 3 hours for her just in case she had a moment like this. And then I told her, I don't want to cut it because I don't want people to think I'm manipulating the interview because it's important, as JDF said, be transparent. So we're just playing this in its entirety. No cuts, no nothing. Just straight, hey, me talking. Take your time.
Remember, I spoke to him Friday, like around 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock time. So like 2 o'clock his time, 3 o'clock his time, right?
Yeah.
And the last thing he told me was he was gonna call my son for his birthday. You know, it was a busy day. I literally I decided to do a party for my son, like a small thing, and I was literally singing happy birthday to my son when I got the call from his agent about his passing. It was I didn't. She just told me like, "Oh, have you heard from Jason?" And I was like, "Oh, not today." You know, it sucks because I was kind of like, "Well, that's weird." He didn't call my baby. He usually is really on point. But I just thought maybe he was busy or he'll call later in the night because he knew I was doing a party. And his agent tells me, "Hey, have you heard from Jason or his phone?" And I'm like, "No." She said he was gonna call the baby, but he hasn't yet. That's exactly what I told her. And she's like, "Well, I heard something," and I was like, "What do you mean? What's going on?" He's like, "Oh, I heard that he got hurt," and I was immediately thought he got into a motorcycle accident because he was riding. So I was like, "Is he okay?" And she's like, "No," and I was like, "Okay, so like I'm going through like 1,000 things." I'm like, "Well, is he in the hospital?" And she's like, "No, I heard he died," and I fainted, like my knees buckled, I dropped, I just didn't expect that. And then I tried calling everyone to confirm. Of course they didn't pick up, but then I got confirmation, unfortunately.
Who did you get confirmation from?
His best friend told me, and you have to understand, like I was getting constant calls, like every 20 minutes from a news outlet, who probably had my number from prior thing with Jason, right? So I know that they were constantly calling me, but at some point I was just remember I'm like grieving. I had to end the part. Like I could bring one out of my house, to be honest. Like I couldn't even function. So my neighbor, he works for like the media, this entertainment. He works for Love and Hip Hop and stuff like that, and he sat me down because I'm like, I don't believe it. It's not like it's a lie. Like I'm like, it's a lie. He's not gone. And he's like, "Francis, usually when TMZ says something, they're just calling to confirm, but they already know it's the truth." And I'm like, no, I was in shock. I didn't believe it. And his agent called me again and told me I had already confirmed with his best friend. And his agent called me later and told me about the second story that was being run.
All right, y'all. This is a little heavy, but we're gonna get through it. Just to quickly summarize, if y'all missed it, she was at her son's birthday party when she got the call that JDF was gone. Okay, her knees buckled. Now think about this, right? You're at your son's birthday party. Now the birth of your son will forever be associated with the passing of a person who was so close to you. And you see TMZ, right? TMZ is on it. As she explained, TMZ only calls to confirm. They already know what happened. They already got all the details. but they want to get it from two sources. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, hey, we heard it from the police department. Now we heard it from his assistant. JDF is gone. And that's typically how it works. So when people give me information, I kind of just blow it off until I hear it from at least two sources. And that's just good like investigation. Because you don't want to go with one source and then the source burn you and they give you some bad intel and then you got to retract it. But TMZ don't miss. Let's get back to the interview. About the arguing.
The argument. So TMZ was trying to contact me directly, but I wasn't picking up because who am I to speak on his death when his family hadn't spoken on his death? So I remember I told the agent, like, they keep blowing up my phone. I can't, like, I don't want anyone calling me. Can you please just tell them to leave me alone? And his agent was very gracious and very helping. She helped me a lot, and she said, well, I have something to tell you before it's printed because I know it's going to affect you. And she told me the story, and she's like, that's what they were calling me. So TMZ wanted to tell me the story before they published it.
To get you to comment on it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So she intervened.
So speaking of that story and getting you to comment on it, what was your first interactions with his widow after hearing the news and hearing the story about the argument? You see, this is going deeper. Hey, JDF passed. What happened before? TMZ contacted you. What's going on? Now you want to know what happened. What was your first interaction with his widow after he passed? Okay? This is, you see, it's like a roller coaster. We're going up. We're going up, 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 up. We got to get all the key details out. We want to know, hey, the interactions. We got the before. We kind of get into during. We're going to touch on the funeral because I said she was there. We're going to touch on the aftermath. And we're going to touch on some other things too as well. All right, let's get back to it.
So even though I worked with Jason for so long, I really didn't have too close of a relationship with Tammie. We would
not close with Tammie. That's important.
Definitely talk, and here and there sometimes, we did, of course, have to talk with each other. She was always very nice and stuff like that to me. I can tell you that almost every time Jason texted me like late at night, I would hear her in the background like, "Leave her alone. It's 2 a.m. Like let her sleep. Let her." So she was very, imagine having someone constantly there, even though I wasn't physically there, but he would text me all the time. So at first, there was a little, which is normal. I would understand her. I would get upset if someone is talking to my husband 24/7.
All right. Now we getting into some meat and potatoes as she's establishing, hey, we really didn't talk that much. In fact, she really didn't like me because I have access to her husband 24/7. He's texting me at 2:00 in the morning and she's saying, get off the phone. You see, this is important background information because I'm like, okay, and this is actually normal, right? This is when you have the quote unquote work wife, work husband, that sort of thing. People that you typically interact with, the people you interact with at work, you interact with more than your family, believe it or not. That's why most people end up marrying someone they work with. So at first she wasn't the most fondest of you being in her husband's life because of the interactions you guys had.
And it wasn't only that, he was telling me a lot of secrets or a lot of personal things, let's say, not secrets, personal things about him that she was like, why are you telling her that? At first it was just not understandable. With time, as she met me, remember I've stayed in their home, I've gone to the car schools. I used to go to Texas all the time with him, travel all the time. She understood that it was business, that I was there to help him, not anything else, right? So I really didn't speak to her after the divorce, of course, because I didn't need to speak to her when the divorce was filed. So I would only speak to Jason. I knew Jason's side. to be honest, and the minute I heard the story that TMZ said, I said, she must have told him something.
You hear that? That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what a lot of people said. That's exactly what Alicia S said. Alicia S ain't buying anything, but it's a natural response that when two people go into a room, one person walks out, the other person is prime suspect number one. So Francis is having a natural reaction, a reaction most people in this chat had, especially some of the Ninja Watchers.
Something put him over the edge.
I said that. I said that too.
Right? I just couldn't fathom that he had done it.
So with that mindset that she told him something, when you first see her, do you confront her about this?
So I didn't have communication with her because she had changed her number. I had her old number. But she reached out to me, and she, the first thing I remember I didn't let her talk. I was like, please let me see him. That's the first thing I told her. I know that we're not, communicating and whatever happened, or I just want to see him. That was my thing. And she was like, well, I'm actually calling you because I need you to come, pay your respects, say goodbye. And when I literally found out about the wake or the viewing.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going. You found out about the wake.
I found out Saturday, or it was like late Friday night. And by Sunday, 6 a.m., I was on a flight to Texas. We had spoken briefly, and I did ask her what happened, like what was going on, because remember, to my understanding, he never confirmed to me that they were reconciling.
Right.
Just assumed that they were reconciling because he wouldn't talk about her or the divorce or anything like that.
Okay, and you said she may have said something to set him off.
Yeah, so that I went with that in my head, to be honest. I was like, something happened, something was said to him. There's no way that he would have done it on his own. But when I met,
did y'all hear that? Something happened. There's no way he would have did it on his own. She already said she thinks Tammie said something to her. So these are natural reactions. These are what I said. If you watch some of my old videos, I was going so far in on what potentially could have happened, but I wasn't there. No one was there. We're gonna keep going.
I saw her. The first time I saw her was at the viewing, and
was it open casket at the viewing?
Yes.
Okay.
But it was only select people.
All right. There's another thing that was dispelled. They said it was a closed casket funeral, which it potentially was, but that was for the cameras. I'm assuming. I think we touch on it later. I really don't remember too much about this interview, to be honest, but it was open casket at the funeral or at the wake. Open casket at the wake.
Family, close family, and like people that worked with him, like the schools. So I consider myself very blessed that she let me go. She called me. I remember I got to Texas, and it was like I was only like 10 minutes from where he was being. Remember, I didn't know. I went without knowing the address because I only spoke to her briefly. So I didn't want to just show up. You know what I mean? Like, because I was given the address by his business partner. So I didn't want to just show up unless I heard blessing. I think it's so disrespectful for anyone to show up in someone's burial or even their grave site without permission from his family and widow. So I waited, and I remember she called me, and her voice cracked, and she's like, "I need you here." So of course I put the address in. It was literally 8 minutes away. I got there in 8 minutes, and she was broken. Like, her face was broken. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like instantly when I saw her face, I was like, maybe. Remember, I'm still doubting. I'm like, maybe.
You still got doubts.
I was like, maybe if something else happened, I'm gonna wait for her to tell me. I remember seeing her. I hugged her. We hugged, and she plummeted. And I'm not like, I want to say I'm a good judge of character. She wasn't acting. You know what I mean? She wasn't acting.
All right, she just gave us her professional assessment that Tammie seems sincere, if y'all missed it. Because I'm like, hey, what happened when you first saw her? Well, I had all this doubt. I thought she said something to her. I didn't think JDF would do it. She gets there and she's broken. And this happens, right? When you interviewing someone and they start crying, you might ease up. In fact, I would say you have to ease up a little bit and wait till they get themselves composure, and then you grill them. But
I know that when there was a few issues with, you have to plan things, unfortunately, and there was still planning going on when I was there. So I met up with Jenna, and Skye was there.
okay.
And remember, I had to.
Did y'all hear that? She met up with Jenna and Skye was there.
A strange relationship with his children. So, of course, when I saw Skye, she didn't recognize me. I didn't really recognize her the first time meeting her. And I remember we hugged, and I wanted to make sure they both felt love. You know what I mean? Like, I want them to understand how much I love Jason. You know what I mean? So we went together to the casket.
Take your time. Take your time.
It was probably the hardest thing to do, to say goodbye to someone you love. I've only been to one other funeral, which is my father's. So, we went together, and I to your question,
did you ever confront Tammie about the TMZ article?
I did.
Okay, how was that?
After
you see, she thought she was about to escape without answering the original question, but you got to let them go. And if you feel like the question wasn't answered, you still got to say, hey, did you confront about the article? Like the question we asked, 10 minutes ago.
The wake, I don't know, you guys people call it viewing, I think it's wake, but after the wake, we all went back to Chachin's house. And I remember I was, because I want people to understand, like, I was so still hurt and thinking something, my thought, after the article, that I didn't want to go to her house. But she, she was like, please come. And so I went, and, I spoke to Jenna, catching up with her, like, what was going on and stuff. Then I remember we went to like their pool area, her and I, and I just like, what happened? Like, what happened?
Did you bring up the TMZ article?
I did bring up the TMZ article. She told me that that wasn't what happened. She explained to me that they were together, they were reconciling, they had separate rooms, which I understood, of course.
For the snore.
And she told me the story that they went out to a club dancing. They stayed up until closing at Jason's request.
All right, this sound familiar, y'all? Does this sound like a People magazine interview? I think it do, because I've memorized it. But we're gonna get to it, and then I'm gonna talk about it.
Because and they were drinking, which was a shock to me because I never saw him drink. I drink socially, but he would never drink. So when I was around him, I wouldn't drink at all.
All right. Typically, if you know anything about people who have struggled with alcohol addiction, or maybe they have negative reactions or get violent when they drink, typically people don't drink around them. But at the same time, once that person decides to drink, you can't stop them. Okay? But let's hear her story because it's actually a good one if I remember correctly.
When the last few times that I've seen him, I usually would go, like, let's say, with my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law would drink a beer and he would be fine, and I would drink wine. And I found it weird that he didn't like.
So he told you he would drink wine.
He didn't tell me he would drink wine, but I saw that he was okay with me drinking wine.
You heard that question? That was a yes or no question. So did he tell you he drank wine? And she said, no, he never told me he drank wine. You want to ask yes or no questions. You don't want to leave any room for interpretation at all.
And then when Jason got into something, he would learn everything about that thing. So, motorcycles, he can tell you everything about every Harley Davidson, like he would know.
Okay.
So when I was drinking wine, and he was like, oh, is that I think I was reading it. I was drinking a Roscato or like a Moscato sweet blend or something like that. And he's like, oh yeah, but you like sweet stuff. And he explained, I was like, I found it odd.
All right. So basically she's drinking a glass of wine and he eyeballs the type of wine she's drinking. Typically, if a guy who didn't drink for 10 years can eyeball a certain type of wine, either he has an impeccable memory or this guy drinks wine. And I know people who say I don't drink and wine doesn't count, a glass of red wine before bed. Yes, it's alcohol in there, but I know the health benefits of it. But some people would say, oh, it's not drinking. And he just eyeballed a glass of wine. Think about that. Either great memory or he knows about wine. Secondly, what was I going to say? The wine is very telling. That means maybe he's been drinking wine for a while to the point where you can eyeball it.
He knew about the wine.
You're right.
So when she told me that he was drinking a lot, it was a shock, but I kind of got it. I kind of understood that he was drinking prior to that. So she told me they were drinking. They were having a deep conversation, about the past. They wanted to just, leave the past in the past and start fresh. So she said that after the deep, heavy conversation, remember, they were in private. He was able to, I'm sure, like, let go and cry and be emotional that he couldn't be out when he's with other people. She said that she went downstairs to get snacks because she wanted to sober him up before they went to bed. And she left the room key. When she came up, she was banging on the door. Obviously, people came out like, you're banging. She was calling his name. She thought he had fallen asleep because they were drinking. So, usually if you're drinking, you fall asleep. You could fall heavily asleep. So she said she was banging on the door. And then, she left the key. She went downstairs. They went in and found him.
So that story seems close to exactly what she told people. All right. So you see me calling her out on the story. So what did I do? I asked her a question. She kind of basically told me the story. I ended up going back and looking at the timeline. Okay. Because we want to know the timeline. she told you this story. So now I'm like, well, when did she tell you the story? So here's the timeline. We know the wake was on Sunday. The funeral was on a Monday. The People magazine article came out on a Tuesday or Wednesday. So here's the timeline. I've added it to the timeline. Let me make it bigger for you guys because you know this. There's no new information provided. Oh snap! Give me a second. I didn't. Here we go. All right. So if you look at the calendar, right? If you pull up a calendar, you will see. I know some people say, "Hey, I want a Tammie timeline." The wake was on the 27th, which is a Sunday. All right. Funeral was on the 28th. So on the 27th, that's when Francis gets Tammie's story. And I imagine it's probably the same story that was told to the police department. And that's when the police report comes in. If that's the story that was told to the police department, we got Francis saying that's the story that she heard. And the People magazine here, I'll pull up this calendar, but you're not going to be able to see it because it's on my personal computer. So the article came out on a Wednesday. And I believe she probably made that statement on a Tuesday. So the day after the funeral, let's see, we'll add it 11/29/2022 statement giving to People Mag. Now, this may not be the answer everyone wanted, but when you interviewing a person and they just give you the answer, you don't just double back and be like, hey, you know, nothing else. You just let them keep going. Because if you go back and say, well, I don't believe you. I don't believe that story. That's the same story that was in People magazine. Then the interview is over, right? You get no information because now the person you're interviewing is on the defensive because now you pretty much say, hey, they're lying or they're not being forthcoming. So this is what happens when you interview people and they say something that may not be new information to you. No reaction. I kept it, I would say professional. My boss wouldn't be like chewing me out. But we just got to keep trucking forward and seeing if we can get something else out of her. When you were questioning her, was the People magazine story out?
No. This was I don't remember when this People magazine was out, to be honest. I haven't seen it.
Well, okay. So when was the wake?
That was Sunday.
Sorry, this is me getting the timeline. Like, hey, like I didn't like the story, but whatever. So now I'm trying to put together the timeline because if she told her this story like after the People magazine come out, now I'm like, it seems a little suspect.
The 27th? 26th?
Sunday the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Sunday. I'm just pulling up a calendar quick.
I don't remember when the People magazine, so I don't want to say it.
It came out on the 30th. Okay, so I mean, my face says it all. Nothing about arguing.
No.
That's a small nothing about who called the police.
To my understanding, the police came in because the door is locked. And they opened the door, but the bathroom door was locked. So in order for them to go in, that's when the sheriff came in.
To kick in the bathroom door.
Yeah. And I mean, they had to, because they couldn't find the master key. So then they got the master key and they opened the door. And the sheriffs took her out and they didn't let her come in.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Just got to move on. She said what she said. That's it. Moving on. What about the funeral? All right. This is good. I promise you. So we got Francis' introduction to JDF, you know, her working for him. We got what happened leading up to his demise. Now we got her initial reaction at the wake and what was going on. Please like the stream, guys. You're not going to find this content anywhere on YouTube, and I may even delete the video afterwards and DJ Vlad y'all, but please like the stream. You said it was open casket at the wake.
The was very hard. I
All right, sorry. One more thing. You see the callback? You have to do these callbacks in the interview. Hey, you said it was open casket. We don't want her to change her story, and if she changed her story, then we know something's off. But she stayed on point and throughout the story. But you have to do these callbacks when you interviewing people because you got to jog their memory. They've been talking at this point, we've been talking for about an hour. Okay. So I got to jog her memory to say, hey, what's going on? Remember you said this. Is this still the case?
I can tell you that Jenna took it really hard. Skye practically passed out, and I had to like literally pick her up myself.
So Jenna took it hard. Skye fainted or passed out.
Passed out when we went together to the open casket. This was Sunday, open casket, and I remember that I was so hurt. I kind of sounds bad, but I'm glad that she fainted because I was able to like pull myself in and just help her because no one was helping her. Just because I feel that when I got there, people were thinking she was overboard.
So she was. So are you saying Skye was being overdramatic?
I mean, your father passed away. I didn't think she was being overdramatic, but I wasn't there the whole time.
You said overboard.
But I think it was just overboard. Almost like whenever someone else was having a deep moment, she would have a deep moment.
Yeah, I'll pick that up. Do I gotta explain it? I can infer what you're saying.
Yeah. And it was my first time coming up to the casket. So.
Okay, so you're at this funeral. You see Skye, you see Jenna, you see Tammie. How are the interactions between Tammie and Skye?
Okay, so
there you go. Now we getting deeper. You see, hey, we all at the funeral. What's going on? We see Skye blasting Tammie every chance she get on Instagram and blasting Jenna. How was it at the funeral? Because I'm wondering, like, was it tension at the funeral because you blasted me on Instagram? Like, what's going on? Let's here we go.
I'm an assistant, right? I'm just a friend. I can tell you my interactions. I was with the family the whole time.
Okay.
Right?
How about your observations? What did you see between Tammie and Skye?
I saw that Skye was included everywhere. She was sat in the front with the family. She was in the limousine with the family that was directly behind, that started the procession, right?
Okay.
When we were going to bury him, she was sitting with the family, first row with the family. And I saw Tammie, hug her the same way Jenna hugged her. She was very much included. I can even tell you that, how they released the doves. There was a releasing of the dove ceremony in honor of Jason.
Okay.
And the only three people involved in the releasing of the doves were Tammie, Jenna, and Skye.
All right. So just to recap, I may replay it, but we have Skye, Tammie, and Jenna up front. Hold on, let me go big. Let me go big because you guys should write this down. So Skye, Tammie, and Jenna are up front at the funeral. They're up front at the graveyard, and they're the only three to release doves. Now, I've been to funerals before. Has anyone else been to funerals before? I'm sure many. But what you have to do when you release doves, that is an intentional action. That's not like, oh, we're going to get 3 doves the day of. That's not, oh, we're going to get 3 doves the day before. That's, oh, we're going to get 3 doves maybe a couple days out, maybe a week out. You see what I'm saying? So now the goal is always, it seems like Skye, just from what Francis is saying, was part of the funeral. It wasn't like Jenna and Tammie in the front and Skye's in the back. No, family in front. So that's why I asked the question, does Skye feel like she was treated unfairly in her father's passing? Because this person, Francis, was at the funeral, and this is her testimony of what she saw.
No one has.
So no Hunter, no Jacob.
No Jacob, no Hunter.
Okay.
But I can tell you that she was treated the same as Jenna, given the same respect, given the same condolences. She was included 100% in everything, from my perspective.
From your observations.
My observation. I never saw her like. I can't say she wanted to speak or not, but I can tell you she was very much included in the services.
All right, we're gonna rewind this back. New people, please like the stream. We just want to go over this part one more time just to kind of like solidify it.
Just a friend. I can tell you my interactions. I was with the family the whole time.
Okay.
Right?
How about your observations? What did you see between Tammie and Skye?
I saw that Skye was included everywhere. She was sat in the front with the family. She was in the limousine with the family that was directly behind, that started the procession, right?
Okay.
When we were buried him, she was sitting with the family, first row with the family. And I saw Tammie, hug her the same way Jenna hugged her. She was very much included. I can even tell you that, how they released the doves. There was a releasing of the doves ceremony in honor of Jason.
Okay.
And the only three people involved in the releasing of the doves were Tammie, Jenna, and Skye. No one else.
So no Hunter, no Jacob.
No Jacob, no Hunter.
Okay.
But I can tell you that she was treated the same as Jenna, given the same respect, given the same condolences. She was included 100% in everything, from my perspective.
From your observations.
My observation. I never saw her like. I can't say she wanted to speak or not, but I can tell you she was very much included in the services.
All right. So when you interviewing people, there's certain words you have to use. You have to say observations. What did you see? Because you can't say, do you think you can't say, do you think Tammie and Skye are close? As like embracing the mother or stepmother's, stepdaughter relationship. You can't say that. Hey, what did you see? Now you see her observations, and now you guys determine if you feel like they were close, if there was some slight treatment. That's for you guys. Remember, I give you all the facts and y'all decide what's going on. All right, let's keep going. Okay. And
I can see that Jenna was not supposed to speak at the funeral.
Jenna was not?
No, she was not scheduled to speak. She was not scheduled to speak.
All right, so we got a good question. Dan's in the super chat, but I'll ask it. Why did you ask that, Henry? All right, so why did I ask about her observations between Skye and Tammie? Because of the most recent Instagram thing that Skye's posted talking about it's war. So if I'm just on the outside looking in, no side, no dog in this race or whatever, you're like, hey, was Skye slighted or something? Why does she have so much vitriol for Tammie? Is there something that Tammie did? Is something that Tammie said? Does she believe Tammie's not being honest? She already said that she believed Tammie did whatever. I'm not gonna repeat it, but she already made that allegation. So that's why I was like, hey, what did you see? I just want to know, like, hey, what you saw, not what you think is going on. But excellent question. All right, keep going. Okay, so all right. Did it seem odd to you that Hunter and Jacob were not there?
Not. It seems odd to me that Hunter wasn't there. But
did you see that? It was odd that Hunter was not there, but not Jacob. Now we about to dig a little deeper. All right, let's go.
Hunter is a very private person. He's always been a very private person.
I've noticed, man, that he's a ghost on the internet.
Yeah, he's very private. He's always very private, very respectful, always of Jason, but private. he
Oh,
didn't like people like going in his business or really giving opinions about his life. So
why was it not odd that Jacob was not there?
um, Jacob has in the past not been the most. How can I say it? The most? Jacob has been a very complicated person.
Okay.
For that. And in the past, he has not said good things and made threats to Tammie and Jenna and Shayla and Jason. And I always used to tell him like, be careful with your words. Be careful what you're saying because they can bite you in the butt later on in life. And in my opinion, if someone threatened my life, my daughter's life, and my husband's life, it could have been 25 years ago. That person would have never been near me or near
Okay.
my family.
So notice what she said. Notice I had no reaction. Okay. Look, what she just said, if y'all didn't hear, is that Jacob was complicated and that he made some threats against everyone's lives. Okay. Just repeating what she said. So put yourself in maybe Tammie's shoes, maybe Jenna's shoes. Okay, my stepbrother has not only made a threat against my life, but my father's life. Now, this is according to Francis, and I don't suspect her to be lying about that. So when I wonder, does Skye know that when she says, "Hey, Tammie, why wasn't Jacob invited?" Tammie never came out and said, "Well, he did make a threat against me." See, this is where like transparency comes into play. And the same for Hunter. Hey, why wasn't Hunter invited? Hey, we can't find him. He don't even talk to you. So if he don't talk to you, he ain't talking to me. How could I invite him if I don't know where he is or how to get in contact with him? But I don't know if Hunter was not invited or I haven't heard from Tammie. I haven't heard from Hunter. Like that, this is huge. I'll rewind it just so y'all can hear it again. Did it seem odd to you that Hunter and Jacob were not there?
Not. It seems odd to me that Hunter wasn't there, but Hunter is a very private person. He's always been a very private person.
I've noticed, man, that he's a ghost on the internet.
Yeah, he's very private. He's always very private, very respectful, always of Jason, but private. He didn't like people like going in his business or really giving opinions about his life. So
Why was it not odd that Jacob was not there?
Jacob has in the past not been the most. How can I say it? The most. Jacob has been a very complicated person.
Okay.
For that. And in the past, he has not said good things and made threats to Tammie and Jenna and Shayla and Jason. And I always used to tell him like, be careful with your words. Be careful what you're saying because they can bite you in the butt later on in life. And in my opinion, if someone threatened my life, my daughter's life, and my husband's life, it could have been 25 years ago. That person would have never been near me or near my family.
So Jacob made threats against everyone's life. And you don't know for sure, but you suspect that's why he was not at the funeral?
That's my observation of it.
Your observation.
Because I mean, and it was just a rocky. If it was something like prior to this, he would have gone out and been like, "I'm sorry for my past mistakes," or "I'm a different person." That never happened, unfortunately. So there was no trust there.
All right. So she already explained that he made some threats against some people's lives and he never even apologized for it. I would wonder, like, when was the last time Jacob had any interactions with Tammie, his father, or Jenna, his half sister? Okay. What about the original Power Rangers? Were you aware of any original Power Rangers who may have remember the rumor that no original Power Rangers were invited? You know I had to get down to it. I had to ask, okay? I had to ask. And Surreal Cuts, I don't know who's I thought I just timed you out or blocked you. But anyway, how come Skye never mentioned this? That's a great question for an interview. That's a great question. She says she's doing her interview tomorrow. I'll tune in. I'll watch it. I'll cover it. Been invited.
Well, I know Steve Cardenas was there, Tiara Hanna, Serena Vincent, Nakia was there. I know a lot. David was filming, so he couldn't attend, of course. But I believe a lot of people were invited to the funeral, not the viewing.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we kind of touched on a lot of things. Can you? So if Skye was treated just like Jenna at the funeral, where is all this discourse coming from that I'm sure you've seen online? Where is it all coming from? Where does it stem? This is me reaching, y'all. This ain't the best question, but this is trying to, hey, what do you think about this? All right. This is me reaching. I'll admit, like, my boss will probably be like, hey, why are you asking that question? He'll be like, well, this is her opinion. We deal with facts. We don't care about opinions. From.
To be honest, after the funeral, of course, there was a lot of, when you grieve, right? When you grieve, there's a lot of emotions to go through. I kept in touch with Skye. I even offered Skye my home. You know, I told her, listen, you know, I'm not rich, far from it. But I have a good family, right? So I was like, if you feel, because to my understanding, she felt like she lost everything and she had a strained relationship with her family. I was like, if you ever want, just come to New York. I'll offer you my home, you know, and whatever you want, just you can stay for as long as you want, right? And we had a lot of conversations. She's hurt, you know, she's a hurt person, girl. December 24th, I can tell you I went through something with her that I was up all night worried about her, genuinely worried about her. Like I said,
this past December 24th. You see me. Anytime somebody mention a date, you gotta get, hey, what December 24th? 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago? So after her father passed, Frances went through something with her where she was worried about her general safety at night. Okay.
After his passing. So, you know, I didn't know where it stemmed from. It was a shock. I mean, it was not really a shock for me, but I wish she would have not. I did speak to her right before this whole thing. I was like, I don't know what's going on, why you're upset. I know jealousy definitely has a lot to do with it. And unfortunately, money always is the root of it.
So she's saying jealousy and money. And what we know about jealousy, that sibling rivalry, before we finish this out, she does say some more good things. I can touch on that. That sibling rivalry is real. Remember, my dad has a completely different family. I have a half brother and half sister that I haven't spoken to in God knows how long, at least over a decade, probably over 20 years. I've seen them probably 2 times in my life. And I don't know if they jealous of me or not. They much younger, whatever. I don't care. But clearly you see Skye and Jenna are close in age. All right. They're in the same generation. So that sibling rivalry exists. I'm much older than my siblings. Okay. I think they just graduated high school maybe a couple years ago, but that sibling rivalry exists. And here we have Frances saying it's over money and jealousy. That's just her opinion. Now, we can't prove it's over money. We can't prove it's over jealousy, but that's her take over it. To me, it looks like it's some sibling rivalry stuff. And you know, my half brother and half sister, they did have my dad their whole life. And I had him none of my life or a couple years of my life. But we're going to finish this interview up. We got a little bit left to go.
But I told her, you know, whatever you do, just make sure you keep Jason's legacy positive. Think about the positive things your dad left. Don't focus on the negative that happened at the end of his life. Unfortunately, I got blocked, and that didn't happen.
All right. And you know what? I like what you just said. Let's focus on the positive of JDF's life. So what's a positive, little known fact about JDF?
Jason.
All right, guys, this is what you always want to do with an interview. We went over some heavy stuff. She gave us some good information. You always want to end it on a positive note. You never want to end it on some bad stuff. So we always focus on the positive. We got the meat and potatoes out the way. Now let's talk about like some stuff that only she would know about JDF.
He loved food. He loved tacos and loved Mexican food, which is everyone knows what. The first time he came to my house to meet, I mean, he met my mother briefly, but the first time he came to my house, my mom was like, "What is he like?" And I was like, "Well, he likes steak and tacos." And I mean, we're Dominican, we're not Mexicans, you know. So, my mom, you know, we do rice and beans, but we don't do like thick beans. We do like, you know, a little watered down with beans. And he was like, he was eating, and he's like, "You're not gonna eat with me?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll eat with you." And I sat down, and he's like, "I love this bean juice." So I'm like, bean juice? I was like, there's no bean juice. I was like, oh, the rice and beans. He's like, I love this bean juice. And every time we come to New York, my mom had to make him bean juice.
Oh,
so
wow.
it was like, I can't wait to go to your house to eat the bean juice. So that was always, I found that really funny. He was like, even when I knew he was hurting, you know what I mean? Like, he would always be funny and
He would always turn it on. He was always on.
Exactly. Like, I'm telling you, he used to text me at 2:00 in the morning talking about, I have an idea for a contest. And I was like, can you tell me at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m.? But we would do it. It would be nonstop, like ideas and how to, you know, do contests for fans and how to, you know, how to do something positive, you know what I mean? And with everyone, you know, my family loved him. Like, he just had this charisma, this something that like it pulled you in. So even if you wanted to hate him, I don't think you could possibly hate him because it was just
okay. What is your all right, guys? Like the stream if you haven't. Put a poll in there. 44 people voted. We got 235,000 in here. Can the new people like the stream? It's free. It's free. All you gotta do is turn the phone sideways, like the stream. Your favorite memory of him?
It's actually, it's kind of bittersweet, right? When we were in Dubai in 2018, no one would think that we were actually not friends. Like, we were actually mad at each other, very mad at each other.
Wait. So y'all in Dubai and y'all beefing, but both of y'all are putting on the happy face for the fans.
Of course. So
wow.
Like, we were like, and I'm talking about being mad at each other. So like, it wasn't anything crazy, but it was just, you know, miscommunication. So we were mad at each other. I was mad at him for something, and he was mad at me. And actually, I didn't do anything.
Oh, of course. Well, yeah. He's not here to say otherwise. So yeah, you go. Oh, I was fine. I was.
But I guess he won. He was always. It was the first major fight that we ever had.
What year was this?
I think it was 2018.
Okay, 2018.
Or something like that. Because we never really beefed. You know what I mean? Like, we never, like, I would just be like, okay. I mean, even if I was mad, I would be the bigger person, or he would be the bigger person. We would never let anyone know that we were upset with each other. Like, we were at show, like in Dubai, we were just working happy, but we were really mad at each other.
I've been there before. I've been there, but with my wife. but anyway,
so we had the desert, like the convention book, like this desert excursion, right? So I'm mad at him. So I'm like, I'm not going. That's it.
Typical.
I know, but I was really upset, right? So I'm like, I'm not going because then I'm gonna have to see his face and he's gonna be mad and I'm mad. the point was that they convinced me to go. They convinced me to go, and he was so like cute. You know what I mean? He was like, the guy was like, "Oh, you guys are so quiet." He's like, "Well, someone's mad at me, so I can't even talk. I'm just gonna."
He just put you out there.
Yes, he just put me out there, and he sat in the front. Like we all sat in the back and sat in the front. And the guy's like, "You can sit in the back. I don't mind if I'm sitting alone." He's like, "Well, I can't sit in the back. Someone's mad at me." And then it was just funny. And then we were at the desert, and he was taking pictures, and he's like, "Hey, you should take a video." And I have the video, a video of you throwing the sand in the air, and I'll take it for you. So he started little by little, like
LeBron James.
Yeah, it's like, oh, and then he's like, I don't like there were only 3 camels, right? So it was 4 of us. So I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna get in the camel. You go in the camel and whatever, because well, why, right? So he's like, no, you get in the camel, because he knew that I was gonna be scared as hell. So he has a video. We're like, screaming at the camel.
I want to see that video.
Oh, God. The camel? No, you're not.
I want to see that video.
You're not getting the camel.
So that's your favorite. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So in the end, we had a really heart-to-heart talk in the middle of the desert in like the night sky, and he was a bigger person and he apologized.
Yo, he took the high road.
Just, yeah,
even if he wasn't at fault, he just said, "All right." Even though
we were both at fault.
Oh, now we were both. Earlier, you said you were in no wrong.
He was more at fault, but I will take blame for overreacting.
So what? He's 51%. You're 49% at fault. Is that what you're saying?
40.
60. No, notice how she tried to say 60-40, but she was smiling. It was all in good fun. I asked her a hardball question next, and then we'll finish the interview. Anyway. All right. So I've seen you watching my content. I've seen you in the comment section. What have you been thinking about all these videos I've done on JDF?
Honestly, you want my
honestly.
At first, I kind of was mad at you. I was like, "What? What is he talking about? Like, that's not correct. That's not right. Why is he needs to mind his business. He's doing it for clout."
But a lot of people tell me that I'm doing it for clout.
And you're doing it for clout, and just so you know, like it's a sad situation, right?
It's very sad. I'm not trying to make light of it.
Everyone feel like family. So at first I was everyone. I was like, something happened, no way.
Just like me.
Just like you. And then I started really sitting down and seeing what I lived with Jason all these years, and how sad he was, and how many issues and pressure he had. And we all reach a boiling point, right? We all reach a boiling point. And you started saying a lot of things that, you brought to light a lot of things that unfortunately he always would hide. He didn't want people to know about the divorce. He didn't want people to know what's going on with Drayden and what's in the lawsuits and stuff, because we all put him in such a high pedestal that's the biggest pressure and the biggest burden that anyone can have. So at first I was mad at you, but I'm seeing how objective you are. You're giving facts. Now it's our job to either believe these facts and understand. And
don't that sound familiar? Ain't that what I've been saying? She regurgitating everything I said, y'all see that in real time?
Put ourselves, remove our vision of who was.
I'll say this. People have to remove their emotions from it.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know if he was watching last night, but some guy came on and said JDF demise is up there with the JFK conspiracy.
There's a JFK conspiracy. I thought he just got shot.
Look, I'm just reporting the facts. That guy came up. He stood on. I appreciate him for standing on it. But even today, someone said rat poison. I've gotten Illuminati. I've gotten the Red Ranger did it.
I've seen that.
I've gotten there was a hired hitman. I've gotten she did it. Any allegation you could think of,
you got it.
I've gotten it. And what would you like to say to all those allegations?
Okay, so the allegations are the most hurtful thing that I'm going to put myself, right, as his friend for 11 years, as being someone that is close to his daughter, Jenna. You know what I mean? Because I think we're all so focused on the end of his life, of how he ended his life, that we're not focusing on the good that he did throughout his 49 years here. And I can tell you I was one of those, she did it, but
So initially you thought she did it. She said something.
She said something. I think I want to be clear. He made his choice. When someone decides to end their life, it's their decision. I don't believe that, I mean, unless, like the case you said, unless she said, go back in there and do it, I don't think there's anything that could have been said. No one has been in their life or knows their privacy. I'm talking about these people that are doing these conspiracies. You don't know, there's worse things that have happened or said, and he never did it. You know what I mean? It was just his mindset at the time. That's what I strongly believe. I think these conspiracies and these allegations, they hurt. Like some days are harder than others, but imagine spending all night crying for this person that you lost, that you love, for a long time. And the first thing you see is some drama about, rat poison, or like you said, or
Illuminati.
I got someone said that he was by the mafia. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? I don't want to see that. I don't like it.
So you're getting up too.
His daughter, and I'm just a friend. And I like try to stay off social media because it hurts. I'm on and going because I have a son. But when my son is asleep, all the memories and all the feelings and all the why, and I feel guilty. You know what I mean? Like the first thing that happened the next day from him passing away, and that's why I want people to understand how hurtful they are. The first message that I got after he passed away was, "Why are you so quiet? We deserve for you to talk." That's what someone wrote to me. You deserve to talk. We deserve that you talk. But if his family hadn't spoken, who am I to speak? I'm grieving.
Well, I know you're grieving, but what happens is fans they associate you with him. They might not necessarily associate his wife with him because when he's on the road, he's with you. They want to book him, they go through you. So I can see how fans are like, hey, they want you to talk because you were arguably, someone make the case that you were closer to him than maybe his wife was. Someone could make that argument because
I'm not his wife. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If he had an issue, he wouldn't tell her. But, it's crazy because I also got someone saying, where were you? Why didn't you do something?
Well, you said you were in New York.
It hurts. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it hurts to think that people think the people close to him didn't try. And because they see this person that was always happy, and videos like what you posted that he said, self-deletion is for cowards.
Here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up. So yes, that video has been misinterpreted so many times, and I've even said it in live stream about that video. The purpose of that video was to say, hey, these are all the reasons he had to live. However, his brother self-transitioned. And he said in the opening sentence, I used to think self-transitioning was for tough people. The next was tough. So I'm like, when I put that out, people didn't put two and two together. Y'all didn't. So many people didn't catch on to that. But his brother self-transitioned. And I'm about to ask her about Did he ever talk about his brother to you?
Yes.
Did his brother self-transition?
Yes.
Okay, so now we could.
And let's add that a lot of close people to him throughout the years have self-transition.
See, I don't know. I don't. I don't know all the people who were close to his transition. I just know the public people. I know his brother, and some can argue Shayla. But and you combine that with everything you're losing your brother, your mom, you lost your someone who was like your daughter. You maybe didn't have the closest relationship with your biological daughter, but you still treated Shayla like a daughter, like she was your biological daughter.
He definitely treated Shayla like his daughter. And like I said, nobody wants to find someone gone.
Right.
Ever. You know what I mean? And to think, it was just horrible. She did not self-transition. She died. She passed away. And her son was there.
Right.
Just for how many hours it happened, no one knows, So add all that life, it's tough on a person. And always having to wear a mask is hard. Like I can tell you there were conversations that we had that I was like, I don't know how you do it, because I didn't have to be on, I was just it couldn't be there like with a bitch face. Oh, I don't know how to say that, but like with a bad face. So sometimes I didn't want to be all happy and cheerful, and it takes a toll. Like I'm telling you, Dubai, it took a toll because we were arguing with each other. We had to smile. It's probably one of the hardest things we ever did.
Okay. Well, Francis, we winding down. I really appreciate your time, but I want to leave you with this last question just for you. What do you want his fans to know? Message his fans.
I think we need to stop the conspiracy theories, the division. A lot of his life was about division. People divided Austin versus Jason and originals versus the new people. It was a lot of division, and that's not what he wanted. He always wanted his fans to be together. He brought so many of us together through his poetry, through his social media, through his shows. We've always had this conversation, and I would tell him, it's never gonna happen. You're not gonna pass away anytime soon. He would tell me, if I pass, please keep my social media alive, always. And it's because he knew that he brought so many people together through his poetry, through what he did. So I really just want all this stuff, this hate, this his kids versus turning his, Jenna versus the other kids. It's just pointless. And he would not want this. He would not want this. He just wants us to be together and continue what he always spoke about, and that's unity. So,
all right. Well said, Francis. Well said. I appreciate your time. I appreciate.
Thank you for letting me speak. It was a hard decision to accept. Come out here. I'm not a very interview person, but I
think this was a.
I just want people to remember who he was always, not that. I know that his pastor said in the funeral. I'm sorry, I'm probably rambling, but in the pastor said in that person self-mentioned that it wasn't. It was someone that was hurt, someone that could have probably wasn't drunk or not 100%. That wasn't our Jason. Our Jason would want us to be okay and together.
All right. Well put. All right, everybody. This is Francis R., his assistant, who helped him for 11 plus years. And we are signing out. Thank you, Francis. All right. What did y'all think of that? How was I? Did I go too hard? Did I ask softball questions? Did I get the answers to your questions that you guys wanted? There was a lot of things I wanted to ask her, but it was limited time. Okay. So we may do a part 2. I got to reach out to her, see if she want to do a part 2. Someone said very, very fair. Okay. So, look at this. I love this stuff right here. I apologize, Henry. I thought you were Team Tammie. Speaking for myself, thank you for bringing closure to this situation. I just didn't want to believe him taking himself away from life. And it happens. You know, you get new facts, new things become available, and you have to, I would say this, right? Part of being an investigator, you go into a situation and you have a certain idea about things. And when you get new information that may disagree with what you think going into it, you have to change your mindset. Now, that's just what it is. When I first started, if you look at some of my old videos, I was going in. In fact, one live stream, I lost my voice because I went too far in. But you know, new things became available. You start seeing the bigger picture, and you know, this platform, anyone could come on. If Jacob want to come on and talk about the allegation that he threatened everyone, he's more than welcome. If Skye wants to address things, she's more than welcome. Jenna, Tammie, anyone who's close to JDF that can, prove they had a relationship, they can come on. I don't discriminate. I feel like everyone should have their voice be heard. I don't really believe in too much censorship, but apparently 21% of y'all don't want to hear from Tammie. So if any, look, I'm a Tom Brady fan, so I'm hoping they beat the the Cowboys. I'm so sorry. The Cowboys, they're not the Cowgirls. I'll drop the link for anyone who wants to tell me why they don't want to hear from Tammie. If you come up here and you say, "Oh, you look, time is close." So if you want to tell me why you don't want to hear from Tammie, hit that link. I'll talk to you for a little bit and how I got this interview. Just talking, I reached out to her. She gave me the cold shoulder. And then Brent, we didn't talk to you like a million times, buddy. Can someone else pop in? Brent, I see you back there. Can someone else pop in? I know how you feel, Brent. I respect how you feel. I'm not trying to shame you, but I know you don't want to hear it. I know you don't. I know exactly what you're gonna say before you say it. So anyone else can come up. He laughing, y'all. He's laughing because I know how he feels. See, what y'all don't know is just because I look at this, I cover this content, I pretty much know everyone's personality. I know who's leaning to the left and who's leaning to the right. I know where Wendy feels. I know where Brent feels. I know where Alicia feels. Some people make it clear which allegiance they have. And I don't, you really shouldn't have an allegiance. It should be team family. But look at Alicia, right? Look, this is what Alicia said. Alicia voted no because her mind is already made up. So anyone else, Alicia, you want to come up here and tell us why you feel like you don't want to hear? Be respectful. I get you don't believe her. I get all that, but you want to voice your opinion. You want to show your face. You want to stand on it. If someone can come up here and stand on the JFK conspiracy, you can come stand up on this one. So, anywho, Brent, all right, Brent, you get 30 seconds, Brent. All right. 30 seconds, because I want to get ready for this this Bucks game. All right, Brent, what you got? Quickly. Let's go.
Quickly, what Fred said about the Jacob, the physical threats, that doesn't matter because they're family, and unless you have even if you have a restraining order, there's a monitor that could come to the funeral and monitor his every actions. So that's not a good excuse at all.
All right.
And they all should have been invited. Now, if they want to show up, they don't want to show up, that's a different issue. But they all should have been invited. I don't care about the physical threats.
Okay.
That doesn't matter at all. So
point taken. I'm gonna respond to it. Thank you for coming up, Brent. You always.
All right, thank you.
All right, peace. All right. So what Brent said is, hey, F that. If someone made a threat on my life, they still should be out there. They should be still supervised visits. I don't know how that works. In all honesty, I don't. If someone threatened me and I have an event, I'm not inviting them. I don't care. You can say, hey, why did you do that? Whatever. As far as Hunter, no one can find Hunter. I can't find Hunter. Like in Hunter, he wanted his sister to be unalive. Do you think someone who wants their sister to be unalive wants to see their sister? Think about that. Anyone else want to come up? Anyone else want to come up, hit the link and say why we shouldn't talk to Tammie, why people should be silenced? Because I don't believe in silence. If Brent can come up here and spew what he spewed and stand on his feelings, everyone else should be able to come up here too. You know, I don't censor people. I truly don't. But if no one is courageous enough to hit the link, I want to shout out to the sponsor. We had two of them. I think I missed the other one. I was in the content. Amanda Indigo, and it was one other person. We have the actual King Smith who sponsored, and one other person. Who y'all rooting for? Who y'all want to see in the Super Bowl? You know me, I'm rooting for Tom Brady. One, he went through a divorce, and y'all know how I feel about divorce. Now, he had the smoothest divorce in divorce history, by the way. It took, 2 hours or 2 days? It was 2 something. No child support, no alimony. I think she moved across the street, and then he's moving. No custody thing. That's how you want your divorce to be. But who is rooting for the Super Bowl? Y'all can put it in the chat. I'm reading the chat. Classy Beats comes in from long range, from out of nowhere, and he takes the sponsorship. He gets it with the $9.99 donation, putting his total contributions to about $15. Shout out to Classy Beats, man. Let's go Bucks. That's right, Classy know what's up. Divorced men root for other divorced men. And I'm rooting for Tom Brady, even though people say he washed. And he going to beat the Cowgirls. The Cowboys. It's ingrained in me. But anyway, guys, I want to thank y'all, from the bottom up. Someone said Steelers. Womp, womp, womp. Yeah, okay. Nope. But I want to thank y'all for supporting the content. Some other people have reached out to me that they may want to do an interview. But the next story I got is so much good. It's literally, I'll give you a hint. It's a rich woman marries someone from out of state, out of the country. They come here. He becomes a millionaire. They don't tell anyone they got married, and they're trying to secretly get divorced. And she's trying to take his money. So that's the rumor. He married her for citizenship, and now she's divorcing him, and she's going for every penny. So anyway, I want you guys to have a safe night. My next stream, I have no idea. Maybe Tuesday night. I'll have my daughter, so I got to play it by ear. You have to remember, my sister is pregnant. She can give birth at any time. So please, could y'all like the stream on the way out? I may take it down, but I'll see y'all in the flip. Oh, let me leave y'all with something. That poem was powerful, right? When I found out, I was like, God, woo. The poem was powerful. And it's a little telling. It sucks, but I'll leave y'all with the poem. All right, peace. Everybody have a good weekend. Who going to the MLK parties? Y'all seen them flyers? Oh, man, they be doing MLK dirty, but we'll talk about it. See y'all. Brent, thanks for coming up. Sharon, Classy, thanks for the donations. Everyone else, I appreciate y'all.
Fall. It's been a while since I wrote. I'm sure at times everyone is moped. But this ain't me. I don't want to go back to where I was. All I could do is pray and hope, shake it off. But when I do, my mind says, nope. I mean, how do I deal with this? How do I even cope? I don't want to slide, but it is a slippery slope. I'm struggling, I'm grabbing, I slip because I missed the rope. My emotions are overflowing like a waterfall. The words I speak are positive. Well, at least I think they are. Overall, with stress occurring regularly, it's too fast. It's a hand-side. Emotions are thrown like a curveball. But how can you even breathe when the air feels like ethanol? I mean, I want to fight back my mind. I want to brawl, but when I punch, I'm on the ground. I mean, I see the takedown. I begin to sprawl, but I miss. All I can do is crawl. Then I disappear. I'm gone. And it's just me staring at the ceiling wall. I mean, people can see my pain. You can see it in my eyeball. The sun would shine, but the darkness moves in, becomes a rainfall. I'm all over the place, like a human pinball. So I delay and I begin to stall. Please, God,